Good evening and thank you for calling the latest Instagram live Goodwin video. Well, it's been a very interesting day, hasn't it? We've all got off the television probably and watched the Dominic Cummings story. One thing I can promise is that when we talk, we don't sit there and tell porcupines like we've just heard, which is unbelievable. But it's something we will have to get on with. I know Boris is doing something at the moment, but to be honest, I'm a bit fed up with it after watching all of that. But we've got a lot to look forward to tonight on our show, and I will start off with who's on, and we go backwards first. At 7:30, we've got Matthew Chanda. Matthew Chanda, who, in a very short career, when I look at it, won the Southern Area title and also challenged and lost a split decision to Duke Mika, who's world ranked now, for the Commonwealth title, and it was a fight that I think he was unlucky not to get the decision on. 7:20, we're joined by former Southern Area champion and was current English contender Sean Robinson, who's had a very successful career so far. He's 14 Ultimate Boxer. We'll talk to Sean about that. 7:10, we're joined by a real character of boxing, Eddie Muscat, who works down at the Peacock Gym. And he does matchmaking, corner work, and we'll talk a bit more about what Eddie does and what his role is in boxing. And first up, he's a trainer that's a lot of people might not necessarily have heard of, but he's got a very, very good resume, and he's somebody that's had many, many champions in the past. That's Steve Kipps, and we're going to try and get hold of Steve now. Here we go. Steve, who did train Matthew Chanda, who we will be speaking to later. How are you, Steve?
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Did you watch that lot of rubbish just now?
I did. How many ways can you ask the same question?
God, didn't it drag? It drag? I'll tell you what. Listen, the story's bullshit, but he did stick. He sat there for an hour and a quarter and stuck to it, didn't he? So
yeah,
full credit for that, I suppose.
Well. He done well.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. He's a good liar. Anyway, moving on. So, obviously, you're not as well known as perhaps your success in boxing sort of deserves. I know you go under the radar, and you needed a bit of persuasion to do this. So you don't normally do interviews, do you, or anything like that?
No, the boxers do it all. I leave it to them.
But so at the moment, let's talk about your current boxers. Obviously, you've got Liam Dillon, who was Southern Area champion, and you've got Andre Santa, who's just started off with you, haven't you?
Yeah, Andre Santa. Yeah, he's doing very well. He's a lovely kid to work with, and I think he's got promise. He's very enthusiastic, and he's an intelligent boxer, and he wants to learn as well. So it's all good.
So let's go back a few years.
Yeah,
and tell us about the fighters that you have trained in the past and where you started from.
Right, originally I started a club called King's Cross as a boxer that changed its name to Islington, and then I moved to Crown and Manor, where I suppose I was the main sparring partner with Michael Watson. He left after when he turned senior. He went to the Culverston. I stayed there, injured my wrist, and ended up being a coach instead. We had Jason Matthews, who won the ABA 5 times London champion, always called the Nearly Man, and then he finally done it one year, very determined, won the ABAs 95. I then had Ian Napper. My dad mainly did Jason Matthews, so I'm not going to take any thunder away from him. He was the main coach there, and then I had Ian Napper. So it was a hard task to try and get an ABA champion, but I did. He won the Federation boys clubs as well. Then I turned pro with Ian. He won the Southern Area champion. He lost to Jason Booth for the British and Commonwealth. Lost it probably in the last couple of rounds where experience counted. Didn't help that he got burnt by the radiator literally seconds before we went into the arena. We went on to fight for the world title. He lost to Peter Colsh. Good performance, said he was getting his second wind, and then Colshaw pulled a punch from. It all went down. That we were so close. And then when Coleshaw says that his corner said he had one more round and they were pulling him out, you just realise that you was minutes away from having your own world champion. I'm sort of always trying to catch that up because you know, he had Jason the world title, Commonwealth, Intercontinental, and I keep trying. Southern Area's been my point that I've got to so far with Matthew. He did well. He won novice championships as at national level as an amateur. Then we turned pro with him. He won the Southern Area title. Some say I took a gamble against Mika. I had no doubts. I thought we could beat Mika. He nearly did it, even to the point where Mika thought he possibly had lost. But I think it was I don't think anyone could complain about the decision. You know, it was close. And yeah, that was that. Now I've got Liam Dillon, Southern Area champion, going for the English title, and there was an injury, and then we had Corona and all this. So it's on hold at the moment, but I'm still trying to break the ceiling of that Southern Area.
But so with Liam, I mean, Liam, you've done a fantastic job with. He didn't have a stellar amateur record, did he?
He had, you know, he'd boxed a Waltham Forest. He'd had a fair few won anything championship wise. He was I suppose what you'd call a club boy. Yeah, a rough diamond that just needed a bit of polishing, and he goes leaps and bounds. He's always wanting to learn. He's very, you know, the lad's a scaffolder. He has a long, tough day, but he's there at the gym, never shirks a training session, and he gives 100%. I don't know how he does it, to be honest, because, you know, working all day as a scaffolder, and then when we're in camp, it's every day, sort of every evening till sort of 9 o'clock at night. We're training and running early in the morning at the weekends. He's a proper professional.
And how's your wife cope with all the boxing you do? Is she quite good with it?
Yeah, she's very good with it. She knows that it's what I like doing. I'm relatively successful at it. I enjoy it. I do it for the boys more than anything. You know, when I was running the Crown and Manor, you know, we was up and down the country. She's from Gospel in Hampshire. I made a lot of contacts sort of down in the Hampshire. So we was going to, you know, Tuesday night, driving down to Portsmouth and getting in at 2 and getting up at 5 to go work. And, you know, we've had some good times, and she knows that that's what I like doing. And I'm not someone who's down the pub drinking and things like that. So there's a lot worse things I could be doing possibly.
100%. So with Liam, who's obviously the guy that's furthest advanced in your stable at the moment, what are your realistic aspirations for him going forward?
Well, I did say to you when we signed, didn't I, that he was a dark horse. I didn't know how far he could go. I've seen. He reminds me a bit like Scrap Iron Ryan. Sort of came in, didn't he? And the people sort of years ago, and he just every challenge that came at him, he sort of excelled and he moved on. And I see Liam as someone who has a challenge put in front of him, and he aspires to it, and he stands up and is willing to be counted. You know, I know that he'll always go down with holding his shield up. You know, I know I've got to protect him because he's a brave fighter. You've got to have a strong head in the corner when you've got a brave fighter. And you know, I don't know how far he'd go, to be quite honest. It's great with other, you know, with Ian Napper. I always thought he would fight for a world title, or always believe that. With Matthew, I just thought his style was good. I said to you, I'd guarantee he'd win a Southern Area, and after that, I thought he would again step up to the challenge. But with Liam, it's a path of unknown. I do believe in him, and he rewards me with my belief in him. He you know, he is a model pro. He trains hard, gives everything, and I know when the bell goes, he'll give everything as well.
Because he had a brilliant fight for the English title, didn't he? When he had a draw with Yusuf Kamari, that was a was a brilliant one of the fights of the year, I thought.
Well, I think so. I think the television, that would have been a great fight for TV. I said to you, I thought we'd won it. I had two thoughts when the final bell went. I thought we'd nicked it by 2 rounds. But I also had the same feeling of it's a shame someone's got to win it. It was such a good fight, and the draw, you know, it hurt me more than losing in a world title fight, to be quite honest, because at least you've got the decision there. You just feel as if you're in limbo and you've got to do it all again, and then to find out that he didn't want to do it again with Liam, it's sort of sticks. I know it sticks in Liam's throat. He wanted the rematch, but I say he's by the side now. We'll just move on, and whoever else comes his way, we'll take him.
Yeah, so that's brilliant. Steve, well, thanks a lot for joining us. Let's hope for some more success, and let's hope we can get you that British champion and maybe even a world champion. Who knows?
Yeah, there's hoping then, eh? All right, cheers then, mate.
Thanks a lot, my friend. I'll speak to you soon.
Mate. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Cheers. And that was Steve Kipps, one of the most underrated, or I would consider, trainers that nobody knows about. And he's capable of taking fighters from any level to be winning titles and going further and beyond. So he's a great trainer, Steve, and his dad, Bob, was also was a top trainer in his own right as well. So let's move on to a young man who works out of the Peacock Gym. And we're going to talk about exactly what he does in boxing, because I don't really know, but I know he does quite a lot, so we're going to find out what he does on a day-to-day basis. That's Eddie Muscat. So let's get hold of Eddie and have a chat with him. Just waiting for Eddie to... Eddie, how are you?
Hello, Steve. How are you, mate? You good?
I'm good. Let me tell you the start. I'm much nicer on video conferencing than I am on text messages.
Steve, that's got to be easier than anything you've ever said, mate. All I'll get is yes, no, and that's it. I'm going to myself, what have I done wrong? No, I'll get is yes, no. I'm thinking, oh, no.
For those people that are listening, I'm very on text. I've got so many texts coming in. It's really brief. It's like one word will do. That's what it is. And at one point, Eddie thought I was being rude, and I wasn't. And it's just a sort of standing joke nowadays. I'm still the same. That's how it goes. So,
no, anyway. It's not rude at all. It's just like, hold on, because I usually go, yes, could you answer this with a yes or a no, please? And I'm going, no. Yeah. Oh, what's that about? So, yeah. So, okay, hold on.
So how are you coping in lockdown? How's life treating you?
Steve, we're all in the same boat, mate. There's not much we can really do. I've missed my boxing loads and loads. Because as I say, I'm matchmaker, cuts man and whatever, and I can't do anything. I'm just ready for the next step type of thing. I mean, I've got my own database of boxers, so I'll keep up to date on everything. So when it does go, I'm ready to go myself.
Yeah.
But
so tell us about your journey in boxing. When did you start off in boxing?
Do you know what? I used to go and watch Stevie Roberts. I don't know if you remember Stevie Roberts. He's come from my way, and I used to watch him all the time as an amateur. Him and Terry Abbott and David Dent, people like that. And I just watched it through that. And then I remember going to a show once, and I'll see an absolute really bad decision. And I went, it's terrible. And the geezer went to me behind. He went, well, you think you can do better? I went, yeah, I reckon I could. So I joined up to do a judge's call. So I was a judge for 12 years of the amateur scene.
Was you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I've done my apprenticeship type of thing, Steve. So I was an amateur judge for about 12 years. And then I've done that and then went to the pro side. I worked with Ian Burbidge, as you know, who's one of the best underrated trainers going. Yeah. Great fella. So he took me under his wing for 10 years. I've been his right-hand man, hopefully. Obviously, Peacock Gym, and they've taught me everything and brought me up, and just got to giving me more confidence of doing cuts and then matchmaking, because I've seen fights. I think that's not a good match set, and I like to think that I know what I know that I know what I'm doing, but it's all coming out really well now, Steve.
Yeah. I've seen you in Mark Little's corner, who's one of the
well, Mark Little's a local boy for me. I've probably had him sitting on my lap. It's a fact I know the whole family, but I love doing the cuts as well, because you're part and parcel of that on a Saturday, Steve. Yeah, no. And I do the house corners as well on the BT shows. You pick things up. You might see a trainer there and go, I'll think, how does he see that? And then I'll listen to what he's saying. and I'm in my head where I agree with him or not. So you're picking bits up all the time. I'm trying to learn all the time, Steve. You
Yeah.
know.
And how long have you been a
So,
matchmaker for now?
well, not that long. About 3 or 4 years. I can't remember the exact date, but it's 3 or 4 years. You know, don't get me wrong. It was tough at first. You know, you're thinking, oh, it's more of a nerve thing. 'Cause every time you see a fight, what you've made, you're like that. You're a bundle of nerves. But you know, most of my fights come out well. And I'll be honest with you. You know, I like to think I know I'm doing. I know I'm doing.
Stressful job though, isn't it? Do you not find it stressful?
Oh, Steve, you ask. Well, as I was going to say, you asked Kevin. Kevin was one of the first people to come down when I first said I'm going to do a matchmaker. He was absolutely brilliant with me. Come down all the way from Leighton Buzzard, sat with me for 2 or 3 days down the Peacock Gym,
Yeah.
and showed me how to do this and that. And I've never forgot that. I'll always appreciate what Kevin done now.
Yeah.
But I say the more experience I've got, I've done my own, like made my own shows and things like that. And the times I've done it, made a whole show, and then it's been pulled. Or you might have booked a fight 4 weeks ago. 3 weeks he's been fighting. The week before your fight, he nicks a cut.
Yeah.
You've got to find someone else. So it really is stressful, really is. But it's a puzzle, Steve. You've got to put your little jigsaws into this. So I enjoy, that's what I enjoy. I enjoy being part of boxing. I love it. I really do. Hello. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
What do you do on a
part
day-to-day basis? Boxing your full-time life, or do you do something else?
as well.
Do you go down the Peacock Gym most days then?
Every day I'm down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I say, I've been like through the pit. I would say I've grown up with Martin, Tony, and Paul. So you know, I love it. I mean, it's the best stable I've seen down the Peacock this year. Whatever. I mean, Daniel Dubois brings such a buzz to the place. Denzel, Sean, Billy Allerton, Louis Lynn. You got your experience with Larry Acandeo, little Tom. It's great down there. It's you want to be there to sit there, even have a cup of tea and coffee. You sit there and talk to Jimmy Tibbs. Do you know there's a lot of legends in the game? He gives you a bit of advice. Mark Tibbs is down there. Fantastic, Jim. Fantastic, mate.
So how do you see the Dubois Joyce fight going without putting your Peacock head on?
I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've seen Daniel spar so many times, as you can imagine. He's got freakish power. He really, don't get me wrong, Joyce has got a chin like granite. But if I was to say, I mean, Joyce has got a lot of experience as well, but maybe he's the wrong side of 30. If you know what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I mean, don't get me wrong, Joyce can fight. I mean, we had Bryant Jennings down there, like training down there, and we said, you know, if you're going to do, and he just said he was just a monster. He was just too big. He's just arms everywhere. So I'd have to go with Dubois just basically because of who he. But I don't think it's going to be the easiest fight in the world. I really don't. He can make it look so scruffy, Joyce. So
for sure. Well, let's just hope they're able to stage it, because Frank said he won't do it behind closed doors, and there's no indication.
I'm not being funny, Steve. Yeah. You can't do, mate, because it's a ticket seller. I kid you not. They sold the O2 out within 2 days, I think. So you can't have that behind closed doors. It's too much money to lose.
No, I get that, but obviously you've got to hope. Yeah. You've got to hope that they get an audience back. I mean, I agree. I mean,
Steve, this is our problem, Steve. I mean, I'm a small matchmaker, and you know, whether we can get these big, like, long shows going again, like 15. I don't know. It's quite worrying, really. Yeah. You know, it is worrying. You know.
We don't know what's happening with all this from 1 week to the next, or we've just got to take it slowly but surely.
No, that's what I'm saying. Steve, all I can do, mate, is just go from day to day. And I mean, I'm in touch with. I've spoke to Graham Everett earlier, and Ian Burbage I speak to all the time. So you know, just keep in touch with people. That's all you can do, mate.
No, exactly. Well, it's good to be in touch with you tonight, mate. So thanks a lot for coming on.
And thank you for saying yes and not biting me head off.
Well, look after yourself, Eddie. You look after yourself.
And you, Steve. Good luck, still. Stay safe, mate. See you soon.
Cheers,
bye, mate.
And that's Eddie Muscat, one of the great characters and nice men of the game. And we're going to move on from Eddie to a young man that's achieved quite a lot for a very young age. Champion, fighting on BT Sport, and really he's looking for the big guns and the big fights, and that's Sean Robinson, who's a super talented fighter and very much underrated in my opinion. Let's find Sean. Let's get hold of Sean. One of the fighting brothers. His brother Luke also fought until medical issues stopped him fighting. Sean, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I was saying, I think you're one of the most underrated fighters out there. I think that would be a fair thing to say. I don't think sometimes you get all the credit from people that you deserve, and I think you earned that in Ultimate. I think what you showed in Ultimate Boxer. Nobody should question you again.
Yeah, no, in Ultimate Boxer, I thought I boxed really well, actually. But I think my Southern Area title fight as well, I showed it against Josh Ekapovic. And I beat him. Like, I thought he was 12-0. I thought I was the underdog in that fight. So, yeah, I think I showed it there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally think. I think you're capable of fighting amongst the elite in your division, without a doubt. We spoke about it the other day, didn't we? Because there's a potential matchup for us going forward for July, August that we're working on. I think the signal's not great there. Let's have a look.
Is that all right?
Yes, coming back. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I think we spoke about it the other day, didn't we? That we're ready to take big fights now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I'm ready to fight anyone. I've always said it. I'm not actually scared to get in there and box anyone. I always think, like, obviously you've got to have your build-up fights against the journeyman. But when you get to a certain level, I think you just got to make the jump, didn't you? Like, I had the Southern Area fight. English title, I think, is quite busy at the moment, and we can't do nothing at the moment. So if there's any big fights out there, I'm up for it.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, because the thing about the Ultimate Boxer was, as you lost the first 2 rounds, but then you came on in the third. If that fight was a longer fight, and it's against a top talented kid, I think he'd have been in a bit of trouble. I mean, it was a fight realistically where you clearly won the third round and was coming strong, wasn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I knew that was the only thing that got me a little bit, is because you know that beforehand. You know it's only a 3-round format, but where I come on strong, obviously he was an Olympian, wasn't he? I think he boxed in the 2016 Olympics. So like he was suited to the 3-round format. So I was a little bit irritated myself because like I knew that format. Like it's all right coming on strong, but you should have done it from the get-go. But it's an experience. Also the TV as well. It was good to like get my face out there. And like you said, hopefully there'll be some opportunities coming up, like even before lockdown or whatever, like something we can get back on TV.
And I think something that people can't evaluate is, for a fighter, when you have done the TV experience and you do it again a second time, you're so much more prepared. And I think it's going to make you better prepared than somebody who's never done a TV fight and jumps into the cameras. Everybody says the same thing. That first TV appearance is difficult.
Yeah, even like going down to the studios beforehand for Ultimate Boxer, like, to be fair, like stuff like that, I get more nervous doing stuff. Even like this now, I get more nervous doing this sort of stuff than I do like a fight. I don't know why. I've always been like it. But yeah, you just got to get used to it. And like, I don't know. It's a good experience. Like you said, you don't want to be worrying about that sort of stuff. Just worry about the boxing. But
yeah, no, exactly. I mean, going back to your title win against Edric Povey, he dropped you. Was it in round 2?
Yeah, round 2, yeah.
And then what I thought was great was how you didn't let that phase you either. You just got up from it, and then you really dominated the fight pretty much most of the rounds afterwards, didn't you? I mean, you dominate, and it was great for for somebody who's so young to be able to cope with adversity like that and learn so much from it.
Yeah, I thought like in that fight especially, I thought like I said, because I got knocked down, like you never know how you'll deal with that situation until you're in it. And like I think every boxer goes, oh yeah, I'll fight anyone. If I get knocked down, I'll get up. But when you're actually in that situation, like it didn't even go through my head. I was just like, get up, like fight. I didn't even think about it till afterwards when I watched it. I realised how big of a shot it was. But yeah, like even that, it's just something like I know if it happens again, if it gets tough. I've always known that. Like amateur, I boxed a lot of top boys. Like that's why when I turned pro, I didn't feel like I got any. I'm not saying like I was an amazing amateur, but I was a good amateur. I was 2-time national finalist. I won 4 London titles. Like, yeah, so when I turned pro, I always felt like, although I had something to prove, I've proved myself as well. I've been boxing since I was 7 years old. Had 48 amateur fights. I think I won 32, lost 16. And that's high level as well, not just club bouts.
And that's a good record. I mean, it's a quality. Yeah. I mean, you're a quality fighter. And I think you'll go on eventually to fight for a British title at the very least. I'll be disappointed if you don't reach that. I mean, what's your aspirations?
I've always said the British title. Like, to be fair, you know, when you're amateur, it's quite funny. Like, I remember watching Journeyman and like Southern Area, and I'd be like, oh, I'll knock them out. Like when I was amateur, like, and then you turn pro and you realise how difficult it is. Like a Southern Area title was a big thing for me to win because like my dad always spoke about it, but I didn't think about it till I turned pro, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But, a Southern Area title, I'd like the English, but there's other routes, isn't there? So if I can get like a big fight, win that, then like I'm only 24 as well, so you've got to play it.
Exactly.
But I don't. Like, I'm not. I do want to step up. I think like there's no point waiting around because like, I was thinking about the other week. Like we was talking about opportunities the other day. If I don't take stuff, I'll just sit and moan. Like I think a lot of small hall boxers go, oh, like I don't get no opportunities. When they do get offered them, they don't take them. Like my boxer was another example. Like I remember I had the Southern Area title, was unbeaten 10-0, and you was like, why are you going in it? Like at first, and then I was like, because you get your face up there, and as long as you're confident in your performance and performing, I think you should just go for it.
I mean, it's just you're not a 3-round fighter, are you? That was the thing with that. You were going into a competition that didn't suit you, and you're fighting a top level out.
Yeah.
That was the thing. I mean, I'd actually fancy you against Donnelly in a 10-round fight. Genuinely, I'd take that fight every day of the week. I fancy you to beat him over a longer distance for sure. It's just that, but again, it done no harm, did it? It done no harm.
No, exactly. I always think as well, like there's ways you lose. Like if you step up and get blown out in 3 rounds, that's not a good idea. Like you got to weigh it up, haven't you? Like like if I got an out my boxer got chinned in the first round, then it's stupid. But I think if you step up and you might lose like by 2 rounds. Obviously, you don't want to go in to lose, but it's just the way you perform, really. I think.
Yeah. So I mean, so going forward now, it's difficult, isn't it, for anybody that's not under a TV promoter's stable? But I'm sure there are going to be opportunities. We just have to get ready for them because there's not going to be any foreign boxers coming in anytime soon, is there? So there's going to be those opportunities. And again, these domestic titles are a little bit frozen up, and so you have to look at different routes if you want to get the opportunities, don't you? And it's being realistic, isn't it, about those fights you take? You don't want to be taking the absolute creme de la creme at short notice. That would be crazy. But you've got to take fights you think you've got a fair chance of winning.
Yeah, I think if you've got a training camp, like I'll fight anyone with 8 weeks' notice. Like not in again, like I'm not saying I'm going to fight like Errol Spence, something like that. I'm just saying anyone around the British. If you give me 8 weeks, like when I train, I proper like. And my last 2 fights, I've been sponsored, so I haven't had to work. So I dedicate myself for 8 weeks, like running 5 times a week, training twice a day. But yeah, you've got no excuses. Like if I get an opportunity in this lockdown to fight on TV, and I say it didn't go my way, I'll never have an excuse. I'll put 100% into it.
Well, at the moment, as you know, we won't go too much here. We've accepted, although they haven't come back and taken it, but we're in negotiations for an opportunity, and if we get it, I think we've got a chance of winning. But maybe they'll think we've got a chance of winning as well, and maybe they won't want to box us. Who knows? But
yeah, I hope it is. Hopefully,
we'll keep informed. As soon as I know, you'll know anyway, mate. So thanks a lot for coming on. Your pain and your purgatory is over. You can go back to do this anymore. But thanks a lot for coming on tonight, Sean. Really appreciate it.
Right.
Take care, mate. And that's Sean Robinson. A real pleasure to deal with a really talented young super welterweight, already a champion, and he's definitely going to be winning more titles. He's only 24 years of age. And that's a man who I thought excelled in his very short career, but there could have been so much more for him if fate hadn't conspired against him. And that's a young man by the name of Matthew Chanda, who we've already touched on when we spoke to Steve Kipps earlier. So we're going to try and touch base with Matthew now, see if we can find him. Get Matthew Chanda, here we go. Matt, how you doing?
Hi, Steve. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, my friend. Is family well? Everybody good?
Yeah, everyone's good. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, so everybody's well?
Yeah, everyone's good. Everyone's good, mate. Everyone's good.
That's good. Do you know, I was looking today, because I looked back at your career today, and when I was looking back at it, I couldn't believe that we only had 8 fights. I mean, that's mental.
I know.
In fight 6, you win the Southern Area Super Bantamweight title, and then in fight 8, we take on the highly regarded Duke Mika for the Commonwealth title, and we lose on a split decision. And, you know, as Steve said earlier, you know, there was an argument for you winning that fight. You couldn't argue really either way, but that guy is now world ranked, and
Yeah.
you took him to a split decision in only your 8th fight. And tell everybody what happened after the 8th fight and why you didn't box again.
Well, after the 8th fight, I think it was 2016, wasn't it? And we tried to get a fight for the English title for a long while, didn't we, Steve? And then I think the board promoted me to fight for the British title against Charlie Edwards. And then I don't know.
That all went haywire, didn't it?
Yeah. And we're meant to have the fight, and you pulled out, and then it was just for a long while I didn't get a fight, and then my medical came up, and for my medical, it was something called a CSP with having I think a lot of the population are born with it, having a cavity on top in the middle of your head, and I think the board looked at it, and because they weren't sure how it would affect me long term, they would decide to decline my application, sort of thing.
So looking back at it, how long did it take you to adjust to the fact that you couldn't box when that happened?
What do you mean? How long did it take?
How long did you feel? I mean, there was time. How long did it take you not to accept it because you knew, but to be able to let it go and move on?
Oh, it took a while. It took a while, Steve. So even now, I think even now when I see certain fighters at my weight or the weight below or weight above, and I feel like I can't, man. Like I'll take these guys any day. Like I will not even take them. I'll beat them. I could. So I'm looking at some of these champions, and I feel like I'll beat them, sort of thing. So it hurts even now still. But
no, I genuinely believe you would have gone beyond British level. I believe you'd have won a British and gone beyond. I think you had that talent to do that, and that it is frustrating. It is frustrating, but I mean, you achieved a hell of a lot in a very short time. But what are you doing with yourself now after boxing?
Well, I was always working. Like I finished, made sure to turn pro after with Steve. We said we're going to turn pro after I finish uni. So I finished uni. I'm working in school in interventions, like in behaviour, trying to make sure that kids don't get excluded and still straight and narrow. And just still in the gym, training the sparring with him and Andre, and I still go to gyms. I still spar and train and stuff like that. So yeah.
Are we ever going to see you in the corner?
I don't know, man. To be in the corner, you have to be. I feel some coaches have to be a bit mental, man. Like, like it's a lot, and I'm not patient enough. Like I'll go there, get a kid. If you can't do it, I'll be like, you can't do it. That's it. It's a lost cause. But you have to be. I think you have to have a passion for it. To coach, you have to have a passion for it. I don't think it's my passion. I like to teach and pass on my knowledge, but in terms of developing talent and stuff, it's a skill, and it's a skill I don't think I have to do. So
and I was saying before, Steve Kipps is an underrated coach, isn't he? He's a brilliant coach.
Yeah, he is. He's awesome. He's awesome. He's also He's awesome. He's also a good person.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and obviously you're going to see the development of Liam, hopefully going on to
Liam's my thing. Yeah.
I mean, he's done very well, hasn't he, Liam?
No, he is. Liam's awesome, man. I say he's a genuine kid, and he gives 100%. I don't say some people just say it for the sake of saying it, but Liam is someone who gives 100%. Sometimes when we're training, I'm running, I'm thinking, Liam, do you have to do this next lap? You don't have to do this next lap. And it could be raining. It could be raining and muddy, and Liam will be like, nah, he's doing it. But yeah, I think you haven't seen. I think he's got more to give, and he hasn't shown in the ring what he can actually, what he actually does in training. But that comes with experience, and even me, when you're under 10 fights and stuff like that, you're still learning. You're not able to translate what you're doing in the gym in the ring. come fight day. But yeah, I think you'll see the best of him soon.
Yeah, because as I say, not many people would fight a world-ranked fighter in your 8th fight, would you? It was just, I mean, it was too good an opportunity to turn down, and we nearly did it. But I mean, it was a brilliant performance. I mean, it was just a great fight, and after that fight, I mean, you must have been proud of your performance that night. I know you didn't get the result, but you must have been proud of what you did.
Yeah, I was, but I'm a bit disappointed in myself because I think I played into the because I think he was talking about, well, I'm going to he's going to knock me out, and him having a record of 20 fights and 19 KOs. Like, I think I was so determined to prove to him that no, he can't knock me out. You kind of, when I was in the moment, I forgot. I wasn't thinking it's something I need to actually win the fight rather than just beat him up. So I think I got the beat him up part, but I think his experience allowed him to sort of switch up and say, okay, let me just try and win the rounds. And I think that allowed him to sort of nick it a bit. But again, experience, because he'd think he was not only just 20 fights and 19 KOs. He also fought representing his country in the Olympics as well. So he was an experienced kid. Well, I do wish him the best anyway.
Yes, no. So now you've sort of, how many children do you have yourself?
How many children? I've got 4 boys.
You got 4 boys?
Yeah, 4 boys. Yeah, they keep me busy. That's why I can't be.
Your
be
poor
too down
wife.
about boxing. Huh?
Your poor wife.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Poor boy. Oh, is that you done now? Or are you gonna have more?
Yeah, no, I'm done. The shop is shut, man. I thought I was done at 1 boy, to be honest. Then 3 popped up from nowhere. But yeah, it's fun. They keep me happy, and yeah, they're good, man. Family's good.
And would you let them box?
Why let them box? There's one who I think is talented, and he does when on the pads he shows some promise. I think I would, but their mum wouldn't. So that's the most important thing, I guess. But yeah. But if they want to, they can go to Steve, not me.
Listen, thank you for coming and joining. All the best to yourself and your wife and your family, and all stay safe, my friend, and look after yourselves. Yeah.
And to you, Steve, mate.
Thanks a lot, Matt. Thanks a lot, my friend. Take care. Cheers. That's Matthew Chanda, one of the most talented young men that I have had the privilege of managing. And we're going to be back on Wednesday, where we've got Mark Butler, exciting undefeated super featherweight. Tommy Gilmore, manager from Scotland, also manages Gary Anderson, the darts player. We're going to talk about his career in boxing, all his trials and tribulations. So that's going to be a very interesting interview. Darren Townley, a super lightweight from Devon who's heading toward titles, and boxing media journalist Jordan Foster. Join me Wednesday, 7 o'clock, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye.